All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive in. Today, we're tackling something I think we all use but probably don't think about too much, e-commerce testing. All this stuff that happens behind the scenes to make sure your online shopping experience, well, doesn't suck.
Yeah, it's funny how we kind of just expect everything to work perfectly these days, but there's a whole lot of testing and tweaking going on behind the scenes to make that happen.
For this deep dive, we're going to be using excerpts from, this is a mouthful, eTCrit Testi, Kapsamlaw Bir Insaleme, which translates to e-commerce testing, a comprehensive review.
Sounds comprehensive.
It is. So first things first, what exactly is e-commerce testing? It's probably more than just like making sure the website doesn't crash, right?
Right. It's about so much more than just keeping the lights on, so to speak. E-commerce testing is all about ensuring the entire online shopping platform, and that includes everything from browsing products to completing a purchase, functions exactly as intended. We need to meet those customer expectations for speed, security, and making sure everything runs smoothly, even under pressure.
Pressure like, oh, I don't know, a Black Friday sale.
Exactly. You need to be prepared for those massive traffic
The
spikes.
source material gets into all these different types of testing. It's like you wouldn't just check one part of a car before a big road trip. You want to make sure everything's in tip-top shape.
Exactly. Each test examines a specific piece of the platform's puzzle, and one of those critical pieces is browser compatibility. Imagine you've poured your heart and soul into designing this incredible website, and then someone tries to open it in, say, Firefox, and it looks completely broken.
Oh, I've definitely been there. Some websites just look off in certain browsers.
Right, and that's where browser compatibility testing comes in. You want to make sure your site looks and functions flawlessly across all the major browsers and operating systems. Chrome, Firefox, Safari, you name it, even Linux or a Mac.
Okay, so consistency is key. No matter how I'm accessing the site, the experience should be smooth. But what about like those little visual glitches? Sometimes a button's out of place or an image loads weird. Is there a test for that?
There is. That's where page display testing comes in. This is all about catching those tiny but incredibly annoying visual bugs that can really mess up the user experience.
Okay, give me some examples. What kind of things are we talking about?
We're talking incorrect display elements, those dreaded runtime error messages that seem to pop up out of nowhere, pages that take forever to load, or even dead links that lead to a dead end. All those little things that can make you want to tear your hair out.
Oh, tell me about dead links. That's like hitting a wall when you're trying to find something specific. So it's
Well, I mean,
all about creating a seamless experience, right?
you got it. You're browsing, you find something you like, you add it to your cart, all without a single hiccup. That's the goal. And that's where usability testing comes in.
Usability, so like how easy is the site to use? How intuitive is it?
Exactly. Can people easily find what they're looking for? Is the checkout process clear? Is it straightforward? A confusing or clunky website can lead to frustrated customers, and nobody wants that. The source actually mentions a really interesting case study with Walmart.
Walmart. Oh yeah, everyone knows Walmart. What did they do?
So they made some tweaks to their site to improve speed, and they saw a 2% increase in their conversion rate.
A 2% increase. What does that even mean?
It means that more people who visited the site actually ended up buying something just from making the site faster.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Just from speed, I wouldn't have thought that would make such a difference.
It does. It all comes down to user experience. In the world of e-commerce, every millisecond counts.
So speed is king. What about security? I mean, that's a huge concern for me when I'm shopping online.
Absolutely. And that's where security testing takes center stage. E-commerce sites are prime targets for hackers, so these tests are designed to find and fix any vulnerabilities that could compromise sensitive data.
Okay, so we're talking about making sure my credit card information doesn't end up in the wrong hands.
Precisely. But it's not just about individual tests. We also need to think about things like compliance with security guidelines, making sure the site is accessible to diverse markets. It's about looking at the whole ecosystem.
Okay, so it's about a lot more than just making sure the website doesn't crash.
Exactly. It's a multifaceted field, and developers use a whole array of tools to map and test these e-commerce sites.
Like what kind of tools? Are we talking like super secret spy stuff?
Well, maybe not spy stuff, but there are some interesting ones out there. The source mentions UsabilityHub, HotJar, 5-second tests.
5-second test. That sounds intense.
It is. It's all about understanding user behavior and making sure the site is optimized for, well, human beings.
So e-commerce testing is like building a fortress around the online shopping experience.
That's a great way to put it. It's about building a system that is robust, secure, and user-friendly, and that can hold up against the demands of the digital world. But it's not just about building it, it's about constantly monitoring, updating, adapting to new challenges.
Okay, so you definitely piques my interest. What are some of these evolving challenges? What keeps e-commerce testers up at night?
Well, one thing that keeps me up at night is the constant battle for security.
Right, because the bad guys aren't just going to give up, are they?
Never. And safeguarding customer data, keeping those systems secure against attacks, it's a never-ending challenge.
Makes sense. We'll have to dig into that more and all those other challenges in our next segment. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of e-commerce testing. Before the break, we were talking about those evolving challenges, those things that keep e-commerce testers, on the edge of their seats.
Definitely, definitely. And as you can imagine, security is right up there. Safeguarding customer data, it's a constant battle, trying to keep those systems airtight against attacks.
Yeah, it feels like every time you turn around, there's a new threat, a new vulnerability. It never ends.
It's true. It's not just about patching up those existing holes either. It's about trying to anticipate what's coming next. What are the hackers going to try to do next?
Makes sense. It's like a game of cat and mouse. You're always trying to stay one step ahead, and then you have all these different markets to consider, different parts of the world. That adds a whole other layer of complexity, right?
Oh, absolutely. E-commerce isn't confined to geographical borders anymore. It's a global marketplace.
Right. You can't just translate the website and call it a day. There are so many other things to think about, like different currencies, different tax systems, even cultural nuances.
That's exactly right. You need to create a seamless experience for every customer, no matter where they are in the world. And on top of that, the source really gets into the sheer size of these modern e-commerce platforms. It talks about end-to-end testing, which is especially important for these really large programs. And it basically
On
means
end-to-end testing, what is that exactly?
imagine you're testing every single aspect of the system, from the front-end interface that the customer sees to those back-end databases, everything in between.
Okay, I'm starting to get a picture of this. So it's like,
It's a huge undertaking, yeah, but you have to make sure all those different pieces are working together seamlessly.
so it's really about catching those potential problems before they become a nightmare for everyone involved.
Exactly. And the world of e-commerce is always changing. New features are constantly being added, so you need to make sure that everything keeps working smoothly, even with those updates.
It sounds like a constant balancing act.
Mm.
What about the challenge of scalability and reliability? What does that mean in the world of e-commerce?
Well, think about what happens during those massive sales events we were talking about earlier. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, those are like stress tests for these e-commerce
Yeah,
platforms.
I've definitely been caught in those online stampedes, trying to snag a deal, and then the whole website just crashes.
Right. And that's why scalability is so important. Can your site handle those huge spikes in traffic? Can it do it without slowing down or, completely falling apart?
So it's like building a bridge that can handle rush hour traffic without collapsing.
Exactly. You need the right infrastructure in place, the right resources. And then there's reliability. You want that site to be up and running 247, 365 days a year.
No downtime, no glitches, no excuses.
Exactly. Every second counts in e-commerce. And any downtime can mean lost sales and, damage to your reputation.
It's like you're always on call. So e-commerce testing, it's really about creating a system that's not just functional, but also incredibly robust and always available.
It's like building a digital fortress, really. And that's what makes this field so dynamic, so important. It has to keep evolving, to meet those demands of the online marketplace.
I'm starting to realize just how complex all of this really is. There's a lot more to it than just making a website look good.
Definitely. It's about creating a really seamless, secure, and reliable experience for, well, millions of users all over the world.
And as technology keeps advancing and consumer expectations keep getting higher, that role of e-commerce testing is only going to become even more crucial.
Absolutely. So what does this all mean for us regular online shoppers? How does all this behind-the-scenes stuff affect us?
That's a great question. I think it's easy to just kind of take all of this for granted. We click, we buy, we expect everything to just work.
Right, but it's important to remember that there are these teams of people who are working really hard to make that happen, to keep our information safe, to make sure that everything is running smoothly.
And they're doing it all behind the scenes. We never really see it.
Exactly. But we can actually do our part by being a little more informed, choosing to shop on sites that prioritize security and user experience, those kinds of things.
So it's really a two-way street, a collaboration between the companies that build those platforms and the consumers who use them. We all have a part to play in creating this safe and trustworthy environment.
I think that's a really important point. By understanding what goes into e-commerce testing, by understanding those complexities and those challenges, well, it can make us more informed and more responsible shoppers. And ultimately, that can make the internet a better place for everyone.
Well said. This conversation has definitely been eye-opening, and we'll be diving into even more of those challenges and trends in our next segment. We've really gone deep on e-commerce testing, haven't we? From the nitty-gritty of image optimization to those big picture issues like security and accessibility.
It's a whole world behind the scenes, making sure that online shopping experience is smooth and, well, secure. The source even mentions tools like UsabilityHub and HotJar, and they're fascinating.
I remember you mentioned those earlier, but what do they actually do?
Well, they track how people are using the site, where they click, where they get stuck. It's almost like having a digital detective figuring out what works and what doesn't.
So you're not just focused on making the site work, you're thinking about how people actually use it. That's pretty cool. But all this testing, doesn't it take a ton of time? I mean, doesn't it slow things down?
It might seem that way, but honestly, testing actually speeds things up in the long run. Because if you catch those problems early on, you're preventing those huge and expensive disasters down the road.
I can imagine those are not fun to deal with.
Imagine launching a site with a major security flaw. The headlines would be brutal.
Yeah, no company wants that kind of publicity. So testing, it's not just a cost, it's an investment.
Exactly. It's an investment in a better user experience, more sales, and a much stronger brand reputation.
So how do they actually do all this testing? Are there like rooms full of people clicking on every single button?
There is some manual testing, of course, especially when it comes to usability, design, those kinds of things. But for those really big platforms, you can't do everything manually. That's where automation comes in.
Automation, so like robots are taking over.
Not exactly. It's more like giving those human testers some super powered
I like the
tools.
sound of that.
Those automated tools can handle those repetitive tasks, checking links, validating forms, all that stuff. And that frees up the human testers to focus on the more complex things.
So it's really about humans and machines working together. What about the future of all this? What's coming next in the world of e-commerce testing?
One of the most interesting trends is the rise of AI-powered testing tools. And these tools can analyze huge amounts of data to try to predict problems before they even happen.
Wait, so they can see into the future?
Well, not quite, but they can get pretty close. Imagine being able to fix a security vulnerability before it's even exploited.
That's some next level stuff. It
Hmm.
sounds like e-commerce testing is this ever-evolving field, always trying to stay one step ahead.
Exactly. And as e-commerce keeps growing, the ways we test it will have to keep growing too.
It's been fascinating to explore this with you. I think we all take online shopping for granted sometimes, but there's a whole world behind the scenes working to make it happen.
It's a testament to all that human ingenuity and collaboration, making sure that those online experiences are seamless and secure.
So, last thoughts. What do we want our listeners to walk away with today?
Next time you're shopping online, take a second to think about all those people working behind the scenes. All those checks and balances, security measures, a whole lot of expertise, all to get that product from their digital shelf to your doorstep.
It really is pretty amazing when you think about it. Technology, connecting us, empowering us, making life a little easier.
It's a world worth exploring.
And on that note, happy shopping, everyone, and stay curious.